The Montgomery estate, usually a sanctuary of polished mahogany and understated wealth, felt charged with something volatile. The air, thick with the scent of pine and cinnamon from the towering Christmas tree, offered no comfort. Alexandra Montgomery stood by the roaring marble fireplace holding a small, velvet-lined box. Inside, nestled on black silk, lay a vintage Cartier watch, a family heirloom intended for my sister Serena to mark her engagement. "It's beautiful, dear," my mother Elena murmured from the ivory settee. Her posture, as always, was impeccable, but her eyes, usually assessing, were clouded with a brittle tension. A little old-fashioned, perhaps, but certainly significant. I closed the box, the sharp click echoing the growing pressure in my chest. This wasn't the Christmas Eve I had driven 10 hours to experience. My sister Serena reclined on the sofa next to her fiancé, Graham Thorne. Serena's giggle, high, sharp, and usually reserved for her social media stories, cut through the room. "Oh, Alex, you really shouldn't have gone to the trouble of bringing that old thing. Graham just got me the new Patek Philippe. It's custom set with pink diamonds." She held up her left hand, catching the firelight on a rock that belonged in a museum exhibit. My father, Arthur Montgomery, stood near the bar cart, swirling a measure of scotch. He watched the amber liquid, avoiding my gaze, a habit he'd perfected over my 28 years. Next to him, his longtime business rival, Marcus Thorne, Graham's father, shifted uncomfortably, a silent witness to our family's seasonal dysfunction. "Serena is simply being practical, Alexandra," Elena cut in, her voice like a velvet vice. "Some gifts are merely gestures, and frankly this watch has been sitting in the vault long enough. It's time you focused on more pressing matters." She paused, then delivered the familiar line with practiced precision. "Have you even looked at the new marketing materials for the company, darling? Or are you still spending all your time renovating those dreadful old townhouses in that part of the city?" I looked down at the velvet box containing the Cartier tank, the watch I'd spent months secretly having restored, the one our grandmother had worn on her wedding day. The one I knew Serena didn't want because it didn't photograph well for her influencer brand. "The dreadful old townhouses, Mother, are projected to bring in a 40% return on investment next quarter, based on the historical preservation model I pitched last July," I stated, my voice steady. "A model you both dismissed as not glamorous enough for the Montgomery name." Serena leaned forward, her blonde hair perfectly arranged. "It's Christmas, Alex, don't be so tiresome. Just say thank you for the lovely time and let's move on to the actual business discussions." She knew she had won this round, she always did. But this time, the years of subtle dismissal didn't make me want to bolt. Instead, something quiet and hard settled in my stomach. The chains of good daughter and tolerated sibling felt suddenly brittle. "We should move on to the estate planning discussion," Marcus Thorne interjected, clearing his throat. "Arthur, you mentioned wanting to formalize the details of the merger before the end of the year." At the mention of the merger, the one that would combine the Montgomery and Thorne real estate empires, Father finally looked at me, his face etched with familiar disappointment. "Alexandra, this merger is crucial. It ensures the longevity of the Montgomery legacy. I need you to be present to contribute positively." "I am present, Father," I said, tucking the watchbox under my arm. "And I intend to contribute, but not in the way you expect." Elena frowned. "Caroline, don't be dramatic. We're discussing a billion-dollar deal, not your latest boutique restoration project." "It's Alexandra, Mother, and my boutique project is about to fund something far more interesting than a predictable merger." I walked toward the massive 85-inch smart TV mounted above the fireplace in the sitting area, currently displaying a calming digital art loop. "What is she doing?" Serena whispered, her voice losing its edge of false sweetness. I pulled my phone from my clutch. My back was to the room. "Did you know, Father, that when I redesigned the smart systems for this house 2 years ago, I installed a separate, custom-designed server specifically for managing all estate legal and financial documents? I told you the cloud storage was a security risk." Silence. I turned, phone in hand. "I'm an architect, Father. I build systems designed to last. And sometimes you need a different set of blueprints to reveal the hidden foundation." I typed a single word into my phone and hit send. The digital art loop on the TV flickered. The screen went black for exactly 2 seconds. Then it lit up again, displaying a computer desktop. Rows of neat folders, remote access confirmed. "What is this?" Arthur's voice was suddenly sharp, devoid of his usual controlled calm. "Turn that off immediately." "The admin password was never changed, Father," I continued, calm and conversational. I recommended you change it, I sent an email. Marcus Thorne leaned forward, fascination warring with professional alarm. Graham just stared, his attorney's brain visibly running calculations. The cursor moved across the screen, controlled remotely by my lead developer working from my Austin office. It hovered over a folder labeled Project Counteroffer. When you dismissed my work as playing with old houses, you forgot I understand market valuation better than anyone at this table, I said quietly. I have been building my own portfolio, quietly acquiring controlling shares in all the distressed assets the Thorne family has been trying to offload for years. The assets you needed to make this merger look viable. The cursor clicked. A detailed ledger filled the screen. Line item after line item of properties, ownership percentages, and the signature block of my newly formed holding company. Serena gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. You're bluffing. Am I? I met her eyes. The Montgomery estate is built on property and legacy, correct? I now own 51% of the assets required for the Thorne merger, which means, Arthur, that your legacy is no longer secured by the person you chose to marry. It's secured by the daughter you tolerated. Arthur Montgomery's face was the color of ash. You committed corporate espionage against your own family. No, father. I acquired assets that were publicly available using funds I earned myself. The only thing I leveraged was the unshakable belief that you would never look closely at my work or consider me a threat. The dining room descended into a stunned, icy silence. The only sound was the crackle of the fire and the distant crunch of snow. I looked at my father, then at my mother, then finally at Serena. The watch box felt heavy and significant under my arm. So shall we talk about the merger, or should we move on to dinner? I asked, picking up my clutch. I believe the caterers have everything ready.